Okay, so the next special function that we are going to discuss we call as an inverse functions. So this inverse functions uh, is a function that uh, is a function that reverse the inputs with its output. Okay, is a function that reverse the inputs with its output. But I'm not going to discuss about these inverse functions for now. I will keep this one later because we need another class to discuss specifically about these inverse functions. So for now, it's just enough for you to know that another special functions is an inverse functions. And as I mentioned, I'm going to discuss about inverse functions in a different class later on. Okay, so as we already discussed the relations and functions as from the beginning, okay, let me just scroll. So we already discussed about ordered pair, and then the set of ordered pair become a relation, and then there are many types of relation, and one of the types in the relation is a function, as we already have the graphical representations in here. So a function is just a small part in the relations, because relation is the bigger things in there, but functions you can call is a special type in a relations. As we already discussed also, there are three types of function. One is onto functions here, and then one-to-one functions and bijective functions. And I'm sure now you already can differentiate which one it is considered as onto function, which one it is as one-to-one functions, and which one it is as a bijective functions. We drew already 6 examples here. If you still have difficulties to differentiate which one they are, repeat again the previous video, or you can ask me whichever the doubt in there. Also, we already discussed about special functions. One is constant functions, and then we already discussed about identity functions. We also discuss about linear function, and then we talk about absolute value functions. And we already determined, for examples like constant functions, they are also onto functions. They are not one-to-one, definitely also not bijective. And for the identity functions, we know that identity functions satisfy the criteria as onto, satisfy the criteria as one-to-one. So identity function, we can say that they are bijective functions. And the next one, already we discussed about linear function. And linear function is a straight line functions. If you draft them or if you map them into a Cartesian product xy, you will see this kind of a straight line when you map any linear functions. And we already determined that linear functions is also bijective function. And then absolute functions, absolute value functions also we discussed, and we have example here to x. So for this case 2x, this is already identified as an onto functions, but it's not all absolute value functions will be an onto functions. If we look at a bigger pictures about all the numbers, for example, there is a negative number and there is a positive number. Since absolute value functions convert all the negative value into positive value, so for this case, we said earlier that absolute value function is an onto function, but in a big pictures, absolute value function is not an onto function, because if the range have negative value, that negative value will not have any pair, as the absolute function will convert all the value into positive. And then the last one is inverse functions. Inverse function is a function that reverse the input. A function that reverse the inputs with its output. So no need to worry about this for now. As I mentioned, I'm going to discuss about these inverse functions in a different class later on. Okay, so that is all for today. And as usual, after this video, definitely the next thing that you need to do, we have quiz, and you need to work with this quiz, and then please also make sure that you score in the quiz. As I mentioned many times already, that the quiz result will contribute to your final or overall results in the end of the semesters later on. Okay, so if you still have any doubts about the topics today, it is a good idea for you to ask me first or discuss with me first before you try to attempt the quiz. Whichever, if you're ready, then you can proceed to the quiz. If not, let me know, then we discuss first. Okay, so I guess that is all for today. Thank you, and we'll see again on the next class. Talk about inverse function and other few topics that we need to discuss in this chapter. Okay, that's all, and thank you.